well, thank you, everybody. So I'll just, because we have a couple new people in Milwaukee, I'll just step back and give kind of an overview of loving kindness. And I'm looking right behind Drichab at our two new participants. Have you practiced loving kindness before?
Um, I think we like to say we did, but there's always more to learn.
Okay. All right. So uh, loving kindness is really an interesting and complex state of mind, comprised of other elements, comprised of various elements, one of which is gentleness. And last time we talked about how sometimes we think of gentleness as being a weak kind of quality, but actually it's a source of strength. Um, and so today's task is really to think about how does gentleness come up in our lives or not come up in our lives. And the context is to think about it in our past, in our present, and in our future. So I just want to pull up my notes. So when we think about gentleness of the past, one of the things that comes up is this idea that we're actually a product of all the things that have happened in our past. And that's a unique product. All of the experiences, all of the memories, the feelings, all the parts of your identity and your aspirations come from the past. And the largest part of our experience, the largest part of our ordinary mind or thinking is coming from the past. And there's some research and science around this as well. The scientists are now saying that they believe that about 45% of the decisions that we make really just come from habituated patterns that we've cultivated from the past. So it's pretty interesting to me that science is really showing something that we've thought about in the Buddhist tradition before, and really kind of giving credence to some of the practices that we do associated with loving kindness. So, interestingly enough, being gentle with the past can be pretty difficult because this is the place where we really cultivate our sense of guilt, the ways or the place where we've initiated our anxiety and our regret. So, so one of the things that we know about the past or about memories of the past is that each time we call up a memory with some emotional content, that we actually change that memory just a little bit by actually reviewing that memory. And then if we call it up again and think about it again, we can change it a little more and change it a little more. So this has really strong implications for if we're ruminating on something or really worrying about something and running it through our mind again and again and again, we can actually change our memory of that situation or alter it just based on the number of times that we've just gone over and over and over again in our minds. Do you find that you've noticed that? Maybe not in yourself. Sometimes it's hard to observe in yourself. But have you noticed that when somebody else ruminates, the story kind of changes and morphs as they retell and retell and retell the story? Yeah. Drechop's nodding yes. Do you have an example? As these memories inflate with the intense emotion that we have around them, and there's more pressure, sometimes we want to make changes or wish we had done it differently or are putting pressure on ourselves to respond in a different way, then you get this kind of tense mass. And we can sometimes feel that like in our hearts. We can feel like intense pressure in our hearts as we're going over and over this thing that came in our past. Have you ever had times where you feel that, like it feels like a lump in your chest or a pain in your chest when you're really thinking about something that's agitated you in the past?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually have we have a technique that we sometimes use, a meditation technique that we sometimes use to kind of reset those memories and allow the pressure and intensity and the charge that we've added to them by thinking about them time and time again to just kind of settle down. Now, for the positive things, it's not so much of an issue, but for the negative things that we revisit and revisit and revisit, that can be a source of stress, um, and just a source of suffering in our lives. And so that's a really good place to just let go of all of the energy that we've added into those memories. And so there's a visualization that we do, or we can do, in order to explore that. So I'd like to present that visualization now. So if you'd like, you can just sit comfortably, and if you'd like, you can close your eyes. And you can just imagine that you don't have to call anything specific to mind, but just imagine that the things, anything that we've found that's been wrong about ourselves or the world or, our family or friends, um, all the all the stress and worry and guilt that we've talked to ourselves about, all the situations that we've talked to ourselves about or rehashed and rehashed. Just imagine them as kind of a mass, a swollen mass inside of ourselves somewhere. And again, it's not any particular one, it's just this idea of having gone back and gone over it so many times that it kind of inflated or swelled and has some pressure in it. And just imagine that whole thing deflating inside of you. Let all the pressure, all the things that have been added to it, all the things that have really made it larger or more engorged, just to let that all drain away. Just let it all go, let it all drain away, and let that mass inside of you just deflate. And you might imagine that it's like a blood vessel that might have been inflamed or engorged with plaque, and now all of that has subsided, and those vessels have gone back to very healthy tissue. Or you might imagine having like a cut that was infected and all of it has been drained, and now the skin is pink and fresh. So that same thing happens inside of you with this mass of memories. All these things that you've worried about or gone over in your mind time and time again, just simply allow all the extra energy that we added to it by thinking about it over and over again, allowing that to just drain away and release.